And if that can happen across Canada, then I see a very beautiful non-apocalypse.
Hi, this is Zena Harris.
And I'm Mark Rabin.
Welcome to the tie-in.
Okay, we're back. And today we've got Mark, you've got some updates on what's going on in your world. Climate Week's coming up in New York. We've got Nat Boltt for our guest coming up on this interview. Okay.
And the world is just heaving, potent time on the planet for humanity, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so summer's wrapped up. We're in the fall. This is like, the time when
we're in it. This is when shit gets done.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like there's like a little window of a few months when everybody does all the work, and this is it. And I feel really, really lucky to be here in San Francisco for the last week or so. Man, things move fast here.
Yeah.
Compared to the laid back Vancouver, like coffee shops don't even open until 9. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wheels are turning here, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. It's just inspiring to be in a different place, than just mix it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that transition moment as well, I've got feelers into the California ecosystem and startup land here. And yeah, so if anybody wants to meet for coffee, hit me up. San Francisco.
Although you're not drinking coffee, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm.
Well, you're gonna have
it's a love
else.
hate. It's a love hate.
Okay.
It's a love hate. Still needs some sort of caffeinated beverage, but yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm probably gonna be in LA the later part of September as well, and all around. So yeah, kind of on the road. It's exciting.
Yeah, story of your life, huh? That's been a lot.
That's the beauty of the remote office setup.
Yeah.
And got my recording,
Here's a little recording device. Oh, well, we've got New York Climate Week coming up. And this year I'm sending my colleague Andrew to navigate the streets of New York and run around to all the meetings. You went last year.
Yeah, it's like Burning Man in New York for climate nerds.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. Good focus on entertainment. There's some sports stuff. There's music stuff going on. There's, AY's got a concert in Times Square. That's super fun, right? So
yeah, it's a great time. The city's alive, and you just roll around from just place to place and thing to thing, and everybody's out in the street. Yeah, last year was an incredible experience, life-changing in some ways. I really, really want to be there this year. I can't swing it. It's so intense, right? It can't do it.
Yeah.
And also, look. I mean, the thing is, New York accommodations when everybody in the whole world is trying to stay in New York is tough.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically everybody who's got a couch is like fending people off or inviting them in either way.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a good experience for Andrew, and I'm sure he'll have fun. I'm sure he's like such a nice and personable guy. I'm sure he can meet lots of people, and
tell him to bring lots of business cards.
Business cards, yeah, right.
That's it.
So,
but it is important though. I mean, I think the one thing I did my takeaway last year is like, it's almost like New York Climate Week is more impactful now than even COP and other sort of climate conferences. I feel like it's become the center of all things climate right now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool to see. And it's kind of ironic as well that, with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, that it's in New York. But it is there.
Yeah. And, exciting episode coming up here. We're talking to Nat Boltt, who is an actress, writer, director. We met her at SPF. What was it, last year or something? Gotten to know her a little bit. So
she's incredible. And this interview is it's full of life. And, she's doing it. She actually is doing all the things, which is, I mean, that's our theme, generally speaking, but like she's way out there.
She's fully committed. She's fully engaged. She's got projects coming up, one to watch. So we hope you enjoy this conversation with her. and get to know her a little bit, and follow her work. I mean, it's super
Yeah.
cool. And as always, thank you for listening to the tie-in. Do like and subscribe and tell a friend, share it with someone to keep these stories going. And, maybe there are interesting guests that resonate with you, feel free to get in touch
Yeah.
with them, tell someone about them. So I
Yeah, and we've got
appreciate
an
it.
incredible slate of interviews coming out over the fall here. So wow, we're excited to share those with you guys.
All right, let's go.
Natalie Boltt is a South African actress, director, and writer. Her initial break into acting was in her birth country, South Africa, as Joey Ortep. Orlep. See, this is where
Yeah,
Orlep
don't even bother with the last name, just Joey.
as Joey on the SABC3 drama. I'm not going to be able to do this. In Sidingo,
Yeah, you just
from 2000.
the English translation.
I think we're better. Look, this is not even going to work out
Yeah.
on that. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to do fresh, and we're going to
Even
jump
I'm
in.
sweating.
It's like,
Okay. Well, let's just we'll
let's do
have to.
it.
Why don't we
Yeah, I'll do
have
it.
you tell us about
Perfect, and we'll just
yourself?
jam.
We'll just
Yeah,
jam.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Great.
Well, then let's just kick it off like that and go from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my name is Nat Boltt. And I, just to explain my weird accent, I was born in South Africa
Okay.
and then spent many years in New Zealand. So I've got a bit of a mishmash where I don't say yeah, but I say yeah. Um, and now I live in Vancouver. I've been based here for the last 9 years. And yeah, I'm an actor, writer, filmmaker. And I've just come out of my first feature film called Holy Days, which I was very blessed to get an incredible A-list cast on board. Miriam Margolyes, Jackie Weaver, Judy Davis. And I shot that in New Zealand. So I actually went back to New Zealand where I first started writing the film. So it was a co-production between New Zealand and Canada. And so that's how I spent months and months there. And now we did the post-production in Canada. And prior to all of that, I basically, I did all the slashy stuff. So I was an actor and then I got frustrated and I thought, well, I could do this better. And so then I better prove that I can do it better. So I wrote a short film and it was really hard. But
Yeah.
the short film then was shot and I co-directed it with a friend and it was really, really hard. And then we did really well at festivals. And so that's where the satisfaction came in as it does. And so, the seed was planted and the addiction began. And then a few more short films, music videos, web series later. I would say I'd had sort of my taste of directing, which I think for me goes hand in hand with the writing and the acting, because acting, as you then realize, is super easy compared to all the other stuff. So it's great fun. And I love acting jobs now, and I don't complain as much. And then the writing is wonderful because it's the only time you really have control of a story, before everything else happens. And so that's my kind of happy little island is writing. And what I've come to discover is that I am quite obsessed with stories and comedies about women behaving badly. So that seems to be my genre. What kind of women can we find and how badly can we make them behave? Holy Days, for instance, is nuns, the goodest of women, supposedly, and behaving as badly as possible. So stealing money, racing cars, etc.
Wow.
Hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of.
That's so cool. That's so cool. A little bit of everything. And yeah, you kind of find your creative space in different avenues. So
Yeah,
that's neat.
yeah. Thanks. I
That's
mean, I think we all try to find our little happy place of,
yeah.
what gives me meaning, what gives me purpose, what gives me satisfaction, and what gives me some income sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And we all met at the Sustainable Production Forum last year in Vancouver. You were there and you
Yeah.
were
You were the
host.
host.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hosted it. I hosted it. That's right. Yeah, I suppose I should make that connection. Also, I forgot to say I was on Riverdale. That's where a lot of people recognize.
Oh,
So
right. Yes, yes,
I
yes, of
played
course.
Penelope Blossom, like the evil redhead, for 7 seasons. So that's how I sort of grew my profile. And through having a high profile in North America and originally in South Africa on this drama called Isidingo that I first had my big break on, which made me like a household name in on the African continent. I've always been obsessed with, well, what do you do with that? If you have some level of fame in inverted commas or just high profile, what is the use of that outside of selling more junk? Do you apply it in some other way? And so the way I came to host the Sustainable Production Forum was back in South Africa. I worked for an organization called Earth Life that was a zero waste, amongst other things, anti-nuclear zero waste organization. And so I just used my profile there to try and get eyes on what people should be thinking about. It was more in a general sense. And now what I love about being in BC is there's this focus on, well, look in your own backyard. If you're saying stop logging, stop this, stop that, well, what's the film and TV production world doing? Because notoriously we are very wasteful. And so, yeah, went to the first Sustainable Production Forum in Vancouver before COVID, and was just where, oh, this is my happy place. Just everything about it just made me feel better. From clean energy to hydrogen or electric cars to even the ticket was like plantable. It was impregnated with seeds. You could plant your ticket after the and yeah, and the fact that there was a lot of interest from the industry. You weren't trying to convert people there. People were already there. Yeah, and so luckily we come back from COVID and we're trying to find our feet again and do things better, because I think also the COVID plus the strike, the whole disaster of steps that really slowed everything down in the entertainment industry. I think if you swing it around to try and make it something more positive, well, something needs to break before you can build it back up again. Sometimes it needs to break completely. And ours got pretty broken. So, what do we do to make it better now that we have people's attention? And I think that's where the Sustainable Production Forum kind of came back, smaller, but it'll no doubt build again, and more committed, with really committed people who have fantastic ideas, and all the suggestions and documentaries, etc., around that of what do we do now in BC where and Canada, but I'm BC based, where we still have a really great situation. We have incredible tax incentives, we have all the amazing landscapes, we have the most talented crews and cast, and experience. And so if people want to come play in our backyard, and I'm very honored to say our, as in I can include myself in it, because I know I'm very honored to be here at all. God knows why anybody lets me in anywhere. It's still a mystery to me. But but if you can do that and say, what are the rules we want to put in place to just say, how do we do this better this time around? Because we're still doing amazingly as a place to come and make your projects.
Yeah.
And then hopefully yeah, I'm part of the Sustainable Production Committee here as well. And just coming up with, yeah, in an ideal world can we make it policy to leave things not just as you found them, but better, and arrive with the right attitude and leave with the right attitude and be friends for life. That's kind of what my ideal would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And are you able to bring this energy and vision to your productions that you're doing yourself or that you're participating in?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So, of course, I set off. Holy Days was shot in New Zealand and post-production here in Canada. And, I set off with all the right ideas of how we were going to do it. But we ended up shooting in Christchurch, which is the sort of the biggest city on the South Island of New Zealand. And while the recycling might be better on the North Island, the recycling was not good. So I was super proud. Day one, I give the speech. This is how we're going to do it. It's going to be a sustainable production, and then all the trash was separated. And then I noticed sort of week by week that it was not being separated, and that there were black trash bags and not compostable ones, and everything was just being mixed up. So I said, what is going on? And they just said, look, there's nowhere to take the stuff. There are no recycling plants that we can actually go to. There's like a sort of a minimalistic recycling system where they'll pick up from households, but only certain things like paper and glass. And you just think, wow, and this also blew my mind when I was living in New Zealand, that the PR, and this is always the thing, the PR is so good that it's just clean, green, pristine. The rest of the world goes to World War III, we could all go to New Zealand and it's completely
in our bunkers.
Yeah, in our bunkers with Hobbit land above. And then you kind of go there. Well, and I lived there, and it's so not true. So well done to the PR team, but it's not true. And so we ended up hardly being able to recycle. One of the few things that I actually did get going was because Christchurch and New Zealand in general is such a farming, mecca, too much so, as in that's also a really big part of their environmental issues. It's totally over-farmed. But, some of the crew had small holdings, and so they would take the leftover food at the end of the day. We just had buckets, and those buckets went to their farms to feed the animals the leftover food. So that was at least something. But so that was a big eye-opener. And coming back to Canada, the next film that I want to be doing is Sweet Child of Mine. It's another road trip movie. So both of them were road trips. And this one is set in the future, post-apocalyptic. And so in that sense, the post-apocalyptic world, in my vision of the film, would be completely recycled in a beautiful Mad Max kind of way. So everything has to be rebuilt and upcycled, and that would be the perfect opportunity to just create like the beautiful apocalypse. Because I've had this thing of like, it's so clear that we manifest what we talk and think about all the time. That's why we're in the mess we're in now. We talk doom and gloom all the time, and wow, look at what we're in.
Yeah.
So if
your thoughts create your reality, right? Or what you say creates.
It's undeniable.
Yeah.
And if you look at like Children of Men, or like 28 Days Later, which has become 28 Years Later, and all of the zombie movies, and they're all just, everything's grey and broken and blown up. Well, wow, aren't we heading in that direction?
Yeah.
And so if the apocalypse was really represented as something had to be broken down to be built back up again, did anybody notice during the apocalypse the beautiful sunsets that were maybe a mushroom cloud but bright pink and orange? I mean, can we work with that?
There are some great colors.
And and then that's the regeneration of nature happens, and the regeneration of wildlife, and some of the beautiful things that we remember from COVID, actually, like we took that a bit further and built everything up from scratch, and reused everything and recycled all the clothing. I mean, that would be a perfect opportunity to tell a story where everything around you is sustainably done. And all the drama and comedy that happens within that. It's not a boring film by any stretch of the imagination, and there are still zombies. But yeah, just to kind of redesign it into something bright and hopeful and beautiful. I was speaking to a friend of mine, Neil Blomkamp, because he and I love that sort of like mishmash of sci-fi and social commentary, and he was like, what if it was like Miyazaki, meets so people who know Studio Ghibli, like if it was Miyazaki meets the apocalypse, what would that look like? Like, yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
I mean,
beautiful apocalypse.
Yeah.
Beautiful apocalypse.
So many cool things that can happen, right?
Yeah.
So.
And actually, just to finish that thought, like when I was hosting the Sustainable Production Forum, I actually met the people from Nordberg.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they do the cardboard construction. very, very high quality cardboard. And if you go onto Nordwerk, it's WERK on the end, onto their website. I mean, they can create anything, anything. It's amazing. You know, they do massive events and they do smaller set constructions. And so I was speaking to them about, what if we made all our sets, if it was a collaboration, and we created all our sets out of Nordwerk cardboard, which could then be deconstructed afterwards, obviously, and just reused, repainted, or recycled. So, just thinking in that direction of the beautiful apocalypse, that you can have all these found resources, and what you have to make, you make out of cardboard with, and get your production designers in to just make it crazy.
Yeah. I know. I know. There's so many possibilities I find, and opportunities for creativity and interesting new products that seem to be popping up, like Nordwerk, as you say,
Yeah.
and all. I'm just, where do you think we are in this whole sustainability continuum? Because I feel like, like maybe you notice in Vancouver, there's a lot, it seems to be a lot of conversation around it, awareness, these sorts of things. But then, you had mentioned going to New Zealand and it was a little different there. And I'm just curious, with your experiences around in different areas and in talking to different people and whatnot, I'm curious where you think we are in this conversation, in this continuum, kind of broadly speaking.
I mean, I think Canada and BC are probably in the top 15% around the world.
Okay.
Probably, I've seen movies on sustainability from Switzerland, etc., where they really sort of have got it all right and 10 more steps ahead. But they're tiny countries,
Yeah.
and for Canada to be where we are already is pretty impressive.
Hmm.
And then to try and collaborate with different provinces, and how do we draw it all together and have a common vision. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know too much about the other provinces, but I think in the meetings that we've had, people are pretty much on the same page. And the conversations, like Noah Rogers is the head of the sustainability committee, and just so much passion.
Yeah.
Annabelle Wilzer as well, and so we're already showing off the change to clean energy and clean generators and
Hmm.
clean transport. We're already talking about policy changes. What is the line item that has to be fulfilled in terms of reusing and recycling on
Yeah.
set, using people coming to set with their own water bottles, their own reusable crockery and cutlery, that those are provided. Those are, I don't know how far they are implemented, but all of those ideas are there,
Hmm.
and respected as good ideas.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing well, and I think policy will make all the difference.
Yeah.
Everything has been discussed. They're all great ideas and they are implementable, and now it just has to be a rule, a law. And if that can happen across Canada, then I see a very beautiful non-apocalypse. We don't have to have a mushroom cloud in the background. It can just be a beautiful sunset. Um, so yeah, yeah, where do you think we are with policy and having it actually sort of written into law so that it's respected? That's what I would like to know.
Mark, feel free to jump in too, because you come at it from the energy perspective
Mhm.
mostly,
Mm.
yeah, in that regard. But just broadly speaking, I feel like the conversation has been going for a little while, and sometimes it depends on the circles that you're in. It you know, it can be a little more hush hush, like we don't want to say this publicly kind of conversation, because it starts to um, maybe, there are traditional groups that lobby, right?
Okay.
And I think, every when people get excited about a thing, they want to talk about it. When people can see kind of a roadmap to something, like, wouldn't it be great if we did these things and that could lead to a tax incentive or something to that effect?
Mm.
They want to talk about it. And I think what has happened, just over the years, as the awareness has grown and more people are excited and these sorts of things, conversations about policy, like at the provincial level or, federal level, for example, are not happening in the traditional lobbying government, the groups that typically lobby government or would lobby government. And I think that shift has, that's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. It's, that, so I think we were kind of in that, or maybe we still are in a bit of that gray area where it's like, wait a second, that's our jurisdiction. And, and that seems like a normal process. But I think what's really going to be effective and like take us all forward really fast, or, is like you said, when we're coming together and everybody's kind of on the same page and we've got this common language and we're not afraid to trust others who might not typically be that, for example, government lobby group, but somehow they seem to have been, made a connection or something to that effect. If we're okay trusting them to do that, then I think, man, we could really, open up the conversation quite a bit. So I don't know. I mean, it's happening. People are talking about things like that. Maybe we're a couple years, 3 years away from, real movement in that space. It just takes a little time. I don't know, Mark, what do you think? I feel like I rambled a bit there, but I'm just trying to think through it.
Little bit. No, just I mean, it's a rambly type of issue, though. I think there is no answer, right? I mean, I really don't think there's an answer. Zena and I have been at this for 10 years, and this exact same conversation. Now it's significantly more advanced in, as Zena said, in many different nooks and crannies, right? But I think overall, if we're talking film, right, not construction or general government stuff, I think we've come a long way, but I feel like it's a pushing, pulling, prodding, getting going, right? It feels like it's not still there. It's not still obvious. And that's honestly crazy and shocking to me still, to this moment, that we're still having this conversation, that we're still fighting to have it make sense. It makes sense. It saves money. People are happier. People feel safer. Like all these basic human things that are so obvious when you create a fertile environment for people to feel seen and heard, right? The basic stuff. That's not happening. And I think one of the issues with at least the film business and music, not as much, but it's still very siloed and insular. And by having that, there are a lot of blockers and a lot of people that are kind of holding on to their little fiefdom or are blocking. So I think that's a controversial issue, and that's probably why this podcast could be at times somewhat controversial. But this is what we're seeing every day. Yeah. Doesn't matter what production company it is. Everyone wants to be the king of the castle. They've got shareholders and stock price that they want to pump up, right? So there is still a combative between the studios. And so, I think we're like at the first third of this conversation. I do think that we're going to see things continue to start to evolve quickly as other industries start to chime in, right? When you start to see industries like construction start to take the lead and overtake general production, it's going to become a no-brainer. Like and our viewers or listeners have heard me say this probably lots of times, but if film and entertainment can't be pollution-free and fully cyclical and, then what fucking hope do we have in all these other industries that are way more reliant on massive amounts of fossil fuels to make steel or, whatever it is, like transportation, right? Our global transportation sector, like we got a lot of work to do. So there's my ramble.
Okay, that was totally.
And I think it's so passionate, and I'm glad we can swear.
Yeah, we can do anything we want. We don't have any allegiance to anybody.
Okay. No, I mean, yesterday I randomly was sort of sent this survey of how are we doing in BC in terms of our climate action. And I thought, oh, this is a good time for me to re-educate myself. And then ChatGPT'd all the questions around, transportation and construction and clean energy grids, et cetera, et cetera. And even then it's like really misleading questions. Like, do you agree that we are doing well in changing the policy around blah, blah, and then strongly disagree, vaguely disagree, agree. And you're like, what is the question? Like it feels like you're being screwed over once again in one of these referendum type questions where you're like, I don't know if this is a yes or no answer. It sounds like do you like beige or beige? Which one more? And you're like, huh? Like it's not clear what the question is. It's not clear what you're wanting from your public in terms of answers that will take us into a better future. You are requiring people to do a lot of uh, research themselves to answer your questions, which you should just be providing answers and going this much or this much. And yeah, what you're saying there, Mark, around we've been having this conversation for far too long. Yes, that is the bottom line is why are we still talking about it? It should be why aren't we just making decisions now? And things that struck me. I saw the interview with David Suzuki. I don't know if you've seen it, where he's
The
just
recent one. Yeah.
yeah, we're fucked,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, why is nobody else panicking? Because this is what he's saying. He's like, we have passed the 1.5 degrees Celsius mark. We always said that was the mark of the point of no return, and we have passed it now. So all you can do, boys and girls, is hunker down. And then you're just like, and nobody, where is this interview? It's on social media. I hardly hear it on national broadcast.
Made the news. It made the news.
Did it good, thank God, because I don't watch the news, so at least
for 1 minute. For 1 minute.
But, yeah, right. And he was angry. I love the fact that he was angry.
Yeah.
But that also doesn't turn things around, And so you can't
well, is that helpful? It's alarmist, and it maybe might get people to take a little more action. But people need to see it with their own eyes, and this is why there's a whole world around regenerative capitalism and regenerative economics and regenerative agriculture. So there's a lot of grassroots stuff happening that is inspiring to me that I see every day, and I think that that's something people just want to they want to feel that little bit of hope and that little bit of inspiration, and I think you can do a lot, especially around community engagement. So that's kind of where I'm focusing, and what we're doing here again is it's this grassroots bit. There's so many people doing amazing things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do we amplify that message, and how do we get them out in the open, and then get other people in other corners to do the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because of where we're at as human beings right now, people are desperate for community and connecting with each other, because we all feel not a little bit, we feel very lost and very anxious, because, I have this conversation with myself every day where I'm sitting down, I'm doing all the things that I spoke about earlier. And then there's a part of me going, what for? What is the point of writing and content creation and hoping I'll get my next film or TV series up, when it doesn't matter none of that matters if the world turns to shit and we're literally hunkering down going, the storm is so bad we can't go outside, everything's on fire, and that's where like your hair's on fire, my hair's on fire theory comes in, which is that people are human beings. Oh my God, it's if your hair's on fire, oh, sorry. But if my hair's on fire, then I get it. And I mean, it literally to get to that point where we are on fire to go, what do we do? Oh, sorry, you had a plan. What is it? What is it, Zena and Mark? How do we, because
what does hair on fire mean? What does hair on fire mean? For me, it means hit you in the pocketbook. It means hit your family's ability to eat or drive your car somewhere, or like that to me is what hair on fire is until people feel the deep, heavy financial burden. And it's not going to be folks that are in the top 10%, right? It's going to be the people that are in the 90% below that have to feel that pain. And that's really sad. That's a really sad thought. That's a really dark thought.
Except like when you have like the LA fires,
right.
It is
that was rich people.
Was rich people twice now, right? Malibu before. And you kind of go, oh, look, your hair's on fire. How does it feel? This is what we've been dealing with for decades now, and you've been untouchable in your ivory palace, but that's now on fire, and so is your hair. So, I think if you had any modicum of heart and empathy as that person, rich as rich can be, you might then go, oh, I get it. And I could make real change.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would say a lot of those people are still so stuck in the capitalist system that it's just a case of, oh, well, that was pretty close. Let's just buy another house and pretend nothing is happening. And it always takes me back to the film, the Adam McKay film, Don't Look Up. Which really, it's so true. Don't look up, just pretend like nothing's happening. And one of the great episodes of White Lotus where, one of the characters says, are we all just entertaining ourselves while the world burns? And yeah, I mean, we are, because people are so addicted to story. I mean, and that's why I do what I do. I'm, our imaginations are so strong. But to the point where we can tell ourselves a story of I can escape and it only affects other people, and I can compartmentalize and it doesn't have to hurt my heart until it's on fire or your child's hair is on fire.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing there? And I know I've been sort of monopolizing this one, but I feel a bit passionate about this.
Good.
I think if anything, climate change, sustainability, whatever the hell we're calling it, doesn't really matter. It's about trying to get consensus with, global government or global organizations. That's what we're missing, right? It's just a consensus. Once everybody agrees that doesn't even matter about the 1.5 degrees, right? But once everybody agrees that we need to band together, that this is a bigger challenge than just individuals working, doing little things, that's when I think we'll see it move very, very quickly. And I'm hopeful. I'm really am hopeful. The question back to your point is, what does it take to get to that? And I don't know what that looks like. Like, I don't know what that is.
I mean, it takes me back to, pre-COVID when we were doing the Earth March across Burrard Bridge and there were 200,000 people and it was happening all around the world. And how derailed did we get? Whether you want to go into like conspiracy theories about like we were on the right track and then COVID, and suddenly everybody's in plastic, and stuff matters anymore because people are dying, but we were on that track and we are still fighting to get back to that massive global community that really was doing that, just going, we want to survive as a species. We know how to do it. We have all the science, and now let's just do it and let's put pressure on government. And we just, we need to get that back. And so, and we need to get it back so quickly. We need to get it back yesterday, and I think what you're saying as well is around like grassroots communities are doing the most amazing things. And thank God for social media that we have, we have all of that ability to not only find a voice, but find our people, find our tribe, and then build on that. But within that, you have this incredible split that's happening as well. You have people getting more and more conservative, hold on to the old ways and fight for them, literally fight. And then the others going like, but my hair's on fire. And I've got to just do what I can in my small way, in my small day, to just know that there's something for me to look forward to and something that is good in my life, and that's honestly all you can do. And when I say small, obviously you have to start small. You start with your friends, your environment, your family, your community, and you do what you can. And then obviously it expands. But I still don't know what to do about the ones in the corner going, I'll fight you till the death because I want my ivory tower. And maybe, they also have my theories about like, there are, I think, subspecies.
Yeah.
Human species.
Die of heart attacks. I don't know.
Well, it's like, I think we have to get out of our own way, right?
Like really think about like, what have you got to lose if you just calm down and share? Like, it seems like a horrific idea to that mindset, but sorry.
Yeah.
But that is really all it is. You're just talking about sharing. Like, it's not that bad. You might make some friends. Crazy idea. Sorry.
I'm just gonna say, yeah, even if we break it down kind of the micro level, like we'll talk about entertainment, like let's just, bring it down to the set level, like
Yeah.
that culture, and that caring and sharing and camaraderie and all of that. And then you take it a level out and all that. Like that's profound when you think about it. So I think if the message is quite simple like that, maybe we
Yeah.
can all get our heads around it and not
Yeah.
overthink and then it's easier to act.
Yeah, yeah, and the interesting thing for me coming from South African culture where people are quite brusque and quite sort of like forward, but also quite fun and quite rude. And then moving to New Zealand and then Canada where people tend to be very lovely and very polite and very kind. Um, it riles me to sort of see both sides and this perception that gentle and kind means weak because it shouldn't be perceived as that, and that's where the problem comes in. And especially where you have a lot of the stuff that's being shot in Canada comes from the US, and I think it's not a general thing, but it can be well, I'm bringing the money, therefore you do as I say. Um, and just it's almost like a shift in confidence that needs to happen,
Mm,
where it's like, no, we provide all of this, and there's so much, from culture to indigenous wisdom and nature, and all of that needs to be respected before you shoot your project here,
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, so so yeah, I think there's a there's a wonderful development in terms of everything that we've spoken about and that we have in place. And then there's almost like a forceful dedication that has to happen to push it through to actually, and this is where I keep coming back to, like, it has to be policy. So,
Yeah.
the ones who are fighting on the other side going, I'll do as I want. They have to just go, well, these are the rules. You have to play by them. Otherwise you can't come play at my house.
Yeah.
And
But policy is sometimes driven by the action that precedes it, right? In a way, you would think that visionary leadership that's agreeing on things would then set a good policy, but I think it's at least in North America. Europe, right? Maybe different
Mhm.
because they've already got consensus for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah.
Here in North America, I think it's more of the entrepreneurial might that drives innovation, that drives something, and then the policy is made in behind of that. But I don't know. That's
Yeah, I mean,
that's
so then how do you see it happening here, Mark?
Well, first,
I
I
mean,
think you're
feel
you're
like
gonna have.
a
I think
project.
you're. I think you're first gonna have. You're gonna have increase in frequency and intensity of natural disasters as it continues to be, and that's going to affect red states and southern states a little bit more, which is really heartbreaking, to be honest, and
Yeah,
unfortunate
they have
because they tend
one.
to be some of the lower income jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So you're going to have stress on those communities, and then you're going to have entrepreneurs and innovators and local groups that are organizing to make those changes happen, right? And then they're going to lobby on that success to then change the policy. Like, or
Mhm.
I think you're going to have I don't see it any other way. Like, I really, really don't. I mean, you're going to have leaders like California, right? New York, a state, and those ones. I mean, they're not stopping, right? When we go down there. I mean, you're in Zena, you're down there. I mean,
Yeah.
people aren't stopping doing what they're doing because they know that it's a 100-year project that we're on, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
and also when we look at the Chinese, they're laughing at us right now
Yeah.
because they're going full steam ahead and they're dominating the world in renewable energy,
Yeah.
like like
Yeah.
like by like 10x,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? So they don't care either. They're laughing at us. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just that's kind of where I'm at. I think it's going to take like probably some egg on our face, embarrassment, and some natural disasters to start to pressure people into taking action, and then that action will then
Mm.
lobbying the government to make those changes.
And I think, what you said there is quite key. It's the egg on the face and it's the laughing at us part that actually will get things moving faster than our kindness and our planning and our
Yeah.
gentle showing
Yeah.
of potential answers to these problems. Because, like I say, with the subspecies,
Hmm.
like to go into crazy Natalie land, I'm a huge fan of all nature and I'm a massive animal rights activist. So, I've thought about this a lot of the great apes. And I'll come back to the point earlier about egg on the face. We're all great apes. And within the great apes, there are the chimpanzees and there are the orangutans. And the orangutans they're by nature 97% human, highly, highly intelligent, do not fight, just gentle by nature. It's just not in their nature to attack. They will defend themselves if they're cornered, but that's kind of really it. Chimpanzees will rip each other limb from limb. There is, if you watch a Jane Goodall documentary, like there is a viciousness around chimpanzees that just dominates when domination is required. And those are the people that often sit in boardrooms. So this is like the Nat Boltt theory on great apes and how we still are part of that world. So, you're talking very, very close DNA. And I look at how people separate into their corners, and I kind of just go like, this is kind of what you're dealing with. We have these crazy instincts, and some of us just aren't fighters, and some of us just are, and they can be vicious. And so the vicious ones, the chimps of the boardroom, I believe that they respond to things like shame and race. And so, yes, 100%. Look at China. I mean, in our lifetimes, isn't it fascinating to go like, oh, biggest polluter ever, worst country, total stupid generalization. But that was the PR at the time, right? And then you see vision and crazy leadership and whatever it is that's got them to where they are now, but sudden change. And again, thanks to social media, mostly because it wouldn't have been reported a lot on this side otherwise. We now go, oh, wow, they looked to the future and they just went, well, this is the future. It's not good. It's pretty bleak. So we're going to do this, and these massive changes that they've done from everything, changing waterways, massive reforestation, electric cars, etc. Huge. And as soon as, like you say, Mark, it hits people, the chimps of the boardroom in the pocketbook, and they look and they feel embarrassed, then you got their attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
I love how you put that together. I'm like going to be thinking about that now as well. Like, oh, I see.
Can I write the next Planet of the Apes where the storyline isn't just, oh no, let's not fight. Okay, let's fight. I mean, come on, we can be more creative. The storyline of every movie right now. Yeah. Avatar included. So yeah, I hate the fact that we have to have a few natural disasters to wake people up, and that we have to have like massive changes like other countries embarrassing us to wake up, because it all just takes too long.
Yeah.
And I want it now, I want it yesterday, I want it 10 years ago. But if we are to survive as a species, then I guess it's going to have to come to that. But what we want as sustainable production people is to go, oh, you're in a panic and your hair's on fire and all of that stuff happened, and here's the playbook. Go.
Yep.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Yep. And the storyline too. I mean, we're able to, like you were saying about the beautiful apocalypse, and we're able to tell those stories and start to create and influence culture through those. We've had numerous people on our podcast about that as well. And I think you alluded to it, but we have a stat. Zena, remind me again. It's like someone plotted all of the apocalypse movies and doom and gloom movies on a kind of a quadrant based. They wrote a book on adapting to screenplay. Pardon me, guys, if you're listening, forget it. But and there was like something like the bulk of these movies are all doom and gloom, and they're on this like doom and gloom axis. And there was like maybe like 2 or 3 movies max that were about some sort of like a positive future outcome. The rest were like, right.
Yeah.
And that was really, really telling, right? It's like, and it's not, and I guess maybe people gravitate towards those types of movies, but at the same time, like people really love a great story with a hopeful future.
Yeah. And it can have all the fun and all the action and all the
everything.
it can
Steaminess.
have all the stuff. And steaminess. And still take you somewhere that you didn't expect, because currently we just keep taking ourselves back into the same cul-de-sac, and that will become a reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're swirling. We're swirling. Part of me,
Yeah.
when I hear about systems and, there's like, how we're doing it now. And what about this? Mark, you mentioned kind of regenerative economics and like these like
Mhm.
larger systems and whatnot. Part of me is like, what if we took what we have and we just flipped it on its head? And we just, in like lots of different contexts, different systems, these sorts of things. And I'm like, well, I wonder what would happen. Could we do that? Because it seems like we're really on a track that, I mean, it's not sustainable, or however we want to say it. We're not going to get, we're not going to be around for long if we continue on this particular path. So what do we need to do to totally switch it up, to totally flip it on its head? And I think about that a lot, and then break it down into like the small stuff, you know, and then try to, I just wonder what it would be like from a massive like societal scale.
Mm.
Yeah.
Big social experiment. China did it,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, when you have nothing, if you go through a disaster like so many people are going through now, be it floods or fires, when you start from nothing, you start to appreciate everything.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but
yeah, just
do we have to experience that to actually really understand what we have?
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And what's at stake? Yeah.
it's at stake. I mean, my brother, who's the one who was just trying to call me, he's a great thinker. He's got a wild mind, wilder than mine. And he said to me, the other day I asked ChatGPT what the chances are for the human species to survive, like in the next 50 years, 100 years,
Oh.
years.
well, what?
Have a look, audience, people
Okay,
listening.
with cliffhanger there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So, if you're
Oh,
going to use AI for anything,
well, we all ask it,
about
then
our
it's gonna
survival.
it might change its answer. I,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not the question of like, how do you save the world without killing all humans? Because it's not allowed to answer that one. But it can tell you quite scientific answer on what our chances.
oh,
Yeah,
Mhm.
interesting,
yeah.
interesting.
Spoiler, they're not very good.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, we have to hit the home stretch on a positive note here.
Yeah.
No, okay, so the positive note is that we are the storytellers. We are the ones that paint the picture of the future. People buy into it every single evening when they sit down in
Yes.
front of TV or go out to a movie. And so let's paint something that is as entertaining as everything else, but doesn't paint doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I
Yeah.
agree.
Let's just
Let's,
manifest something awesome.
yeah. Yeah. And get out of our own way here. Let's do it. It's so complicated, but I feel like there's so many cool things to do and so much
Yeah.
opportunity that so many cool stories to tell.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think, for the people who are financing these stories, my request, my sort of challenge would be open your minds to financing the big thinkers.
Yeah.
We are here to throw out great visions and great ideas, and we need you to back us up. So people are really bored with the same old stories. You can see how, with streamers, people are ending their subscriptions because there's not a hell of a lot to
Yeah.
watch that is new or that we haven't seen a million versions of already. And so, again, as they start to get hit in their pocketbook by going, oh, maybe people need better stories, well, then finance the better stories, the more interesting ones, the original ones, the ones that
Yeah.
the ones with vision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
That's great.
wow. Yeah, it's
So
this is
fun talking to you both.
up and down. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, this is look at the end. I mean, we're hopeful. This is why we do this.
Yeah.
And we know, back to my earlier point, we know that film and entertainment can be a force for good and for change and can take a leadership role because we can do all the things that we need to do
Yeah.
Yeah.
without huge industrial emissions and trash and the whole deal, right? So that's what keeps me going, and that's why I'm sure Zena too, but like why I've stayed focused on entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I'm seeing it happen. It's just not as fast as we all want it, but it's happening,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
happening.
I mean,
right?
from the earliest days of telling stories around a fire in a cave, that's what people want.
Yeah,
We're a species of stories and imagination. And everything is a story. Politics
Yeah.
is a story. Religion, it's a story. It's a picture somebody paints in your mind from when you're a tiny baby, and then you
yeah,
run with it if you believe it. So
Yeah.
let's paint a picture that people want to run with that keeps us thriving on this planet.
Yeah. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Amen.
love it. Okay, so your next screenplay or your next your next project is going to be the positive, beautiful apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah, and I will. My main focus at the moment is comedy because clearly people need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm writing a lot of comedy. I'm writing a lot of comedy about us laughing at ourselves because if we can laugh at ourselves, then we can let the whole big ego drop, and then we can actually shift
Yeah.
into a place of empathy.
Yeah.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, yeah. So Sweet Child of Mine is my beautiful apocalypse story about
I
us
love it.
all getting along, um, about zombies maybe not being the baddie, that we might all just live together in harmony.
Yeah.
I'm doing a a female-driven comedy series about parental rage and the things we do in honor of our child that really just embarrasses everybody. Um, Yeah, and then I also like to play with the space between life and death and why that's what I did on Holy Days, like how do we deal with grief? Because
Mm.
the West very much ignores the idea of death. We all think we're going to get out of it alive, and nobody does. And so why don't we, talk about it? And I think it all that, in the greater sense of what we've been speaking about, if we can face our fears, then we won't be so defensive. And death is one of our great fears. So yeah, it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
And I have a sci-fi project called The Drift coming up about dealing with death, and therefore being kinder in life or being more open in life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we all need to learn how to handle grief. You're right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
we're just not taught that.
Yeah. And
No.
and the fact that, like, I mean, just to kind of tie it in, you can't take any of your stuff with you when you die. So maybe don't have so much stuff. Maybe
Yeah.
don't protect it with all the weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And I just think about I always when I talk about stuff, I always refer to that George Carlin, his skit on stuff.
Oh, I haven't
Um, it's a classic. So George Carlin, search George Carlin stuff, whatever,
I'll do it.
comedy routine. It's so funny and it's still so relevant today.
Uh,
So
yeah.
yeah, have a listen, folks out there, if you haven't listened to the George Carlin bit on stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
And
listen to
Natalie, where can
that.
people find you? Where can they keep track of what you're up to?
I am Nat Boltt, NatBoltt on Instagram, and that's probably and Nat Boltt director. So I've got two handles. Just message me there, and I'll be updating. I've got a website, natboltdirector.com. So I'll be updating everything there, and yeah, watch the space for Holy Days. We're hoping for it to be out early next year. It's just doing the festival circuit at the moment, and yeah, then love to have a conversation with anybody who wants to talk about joy, because we
Yeah.
have got into some real dark stuff here. But for all the darkness, I can honestly say that I'm a hopeless optimist, and
Yeah.
I 100% believe in the magic of innocence and childhood and the pictures we paint for ourselves when we are little, and how if you can just stay in touch with those, you actually can be a joyful person through all of this madness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Joy is the key factor uh, that gets me up in the morning. And I
We,
and I want people to remember that in themselves. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I've got.
we need kid giggles just always
Yes,
streaming around, right?
belly giggles. Yeah, getting the whole world exists. Yeah, I mean, in Holy Days, I've got a kid, an 8-year-old boy, and then all the women are like around 80. So, and the friendship of just being silly when you're really young and being silly when you're really old, because nothing really matters. And so, yeah, being able to watch that and go, oh, I think I may have lost my silly bone,
Yeah.
and I need to refind it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fun. It sure is fun. Yeah.
yeah, Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much for this
Thanks, Nat.
conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's always wonderful to speak to you both, and look forward to seeing you and everyone else at the next Sustainable Production Forum.
Oh yeah, we'll
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and lots of community and banding together and speaking up with each other.
yeah, that's what it's gonna take.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
All right. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Our designer is Aaliyah Kane. Music is by Peter Chapman. Social media is by Picnic Social. Our editor and producer is Rachel Werble.